Good morning and welcome to our channel. Today, I'd like to discuss those of you that are self-employed. Maybe you're a small gig worker or maybe you have a small business, but you're still out there struggling. You're low income and you need help with housing. Let's talk about some of the technical rules under federal rules as well as administrative plans by public housing authorities and discover whether or not you could qualify for Section 8. Again, this is not for people that own major corporations or independently wealthy people that own a whole car dealership, but rather people that may be very low income or gig workers, or maybe you have a little flea market business going on. And so this might offer you some reprieve. Before I get started, my name is Jay. I'm the owner of Section8Consulting.com. And today I'm going to be presenting this video to help you guys out. I'm going to switch over and put up some company information that'll require me kind of moving my face around a bit on the screen here. So I'm going to go up to the right. And then I'm going to bring in some notes because I realize some of you may have learning disabilities, or maybe I talk a little too quickly. We try to keep these videos short and to the point. So moving on, yes, self-employed people can qualify for Section 8 housing program, commonly called Section 8. Owning a business or freelancing or working as an independent contractor or otherwise receiving 1099 income does not automatically disqualify you from being able to participate in federal housing or Section 8 programs. The eligibility depends primarily on a couple of things: the total household income, total household size, local HUD income limits or payment standards, and your citizenship or eligibility status in the country. You need to be here legally or otherwise have legal access to the country. The housing authority screening and waitlist requirements, and also your completing and providing accurate income and asset disclosure. So again, no independently wealthy folks. Okay, so how does HUD count self-employment income? Well, there's a basic calculation. The gross business income, allowable operating expenses, equals accountable net self-employment income. For example, gross business receipts of 45,000, the allowable business expenses at 25,000. So the net self-employment income counted by the housing authority would be roughly 20,000. In other words, you need to create profit and loss statements to make sure you qualify under income limits. Now, if you want to learn more about this and more extensively, I'm going to put up Code of Federal Regulation. So HUD's regulations specifically exclude gross business receipts from annual household income, but could count and resulting in net business income. To discover those rules, you can go to Title 24, 5.609. And now we move on. Expenses that may not be deductible. The housing authority does not necessarily accept every deduction shown on a federal tax return. HUD rules generally provide that the following: ordinary expenses necessary to operate a business may be deducted. Business expansion expenses cannot be deducted when calculating net income. Payment towards principal of the business debt generally cannot be deducted as a moralization of capital indebtedness. Straight line depreciation may be allowed under applicable IRS rules, and cash or assets withdrawn from the business may be counted as income unless the withdrawal merely reimburses money or the assets to the family's previous investment. Now, look, guys, I understand these may be a little bit higher technical terms. If you're struggling, again, I advise you reach out to my office. We are by appointment, and the services are not free, but very affordable. My phone number's up there, website, as well as email there. Again, you'll need an appointment, okay? Moving on from there, what if the business operates at a loss? Well, if the business loss will generally be treated as a zero income from that business, then the loss ordinarily cannot be used to reduce Social Security, wages, or other income received by the household members. And as an example, business loans 5,000, Social Security 24,000, other wages 10,000, and countable household income generally 34,000 and not 29,000. So HUD provides a similar example, and I'm going to put in income determination guide for you guys, which explains it very well. Moving on from their documentation, a housing authority may request, especially if you're going to participate, because self-employment applicants do not have conventional pay stubs, the housing authority may request several records, including the following: the most recent federal tax return, Schedule C, Schedule E, Schedule F, Schedule K, and 1. Current profit and loss statement, 1099 forms, business and personal bank statements, business ledgers and bookkeeping bookkeeping reports, receipts supporting claimed expenses, business license and registration, invoice and payment records, written explanation of expected income for the next 12 months, and signing a self-employment income certification. This can be quite contentious, okay, depending on the type of uh, self-employment you have and what you're doing specifically. The exact requirements depend on the Housing Authority's administrative plan. In order to get that administrative plan, you'll need to do a Freedom of Information Act or a FOIA requesting that administrative plan from the Housing Authority. I recommend that you request a digital copy. Otherwise, if they have to print that out through a printer, you may end up in hundreds of dollars of fees. If the business you recently started or income has changed significantly, also consider that you should provide current records rather than relying exclusively on older tax returns. Irregular and seasonal income, which may be a vast majority of you that are looking into this, the variable income does not prevent eligibility. The Housing Authority must make a reasonable calculation using available information. For a new admission or interim reexamination, HUD current regulation generally requires a Housing Authority to estimate income expected during the upcoming 12 months. Requiring the Housing Authority to estimate income is expected at the upcoming 12 months, and the documentation should explain the following: whether the business is seasonal, average monthly receipts, reoccurring operating expenses, recently gained or lost contracts, any major change from previous tax records, and why the deposits appearing in your bank records may not represent business income. HUD is continuing to transition to the revised HOTMA. As many of you know, I made a previous video you might want to watch on HOTMA. If you don't want to watch a video, then you can go into income calculation procedures. PHAs are subject to HUD's current schedule. Must implement applicable requirements for transactions effective on January 1st, 2027. That HOTMA notice of PIH 2026-15, I'm going to include that in that information in the comments section. You also want to read through there. I can tell you guys, Section 8's a rabbit hole, okay? Don't let that dissuade you. There's lots of things you need to learn, okay? Common reasons for self-employment applicants encounter. Look, you're going to sometimes encounter problems, and sometimes the PHA may not always be up to date or that useful in helping you in this respect. But self-employment applicants may face or adverse decisions when they do the following: report only taxable income without explaining the business records, fail to report cash, online, gig, or 1099 income, mix business and personal funds in the same account, claim expenses without supporting documentation, report income that conflicts with the bank records or tax returns, treat personal expenses as business expenses, fail to report changes required by the Housing Authority, or submit an incomplete, unsigned profit and loss statement. Unexplained deposits do not automatically provide proof of unreported income, but applicants should identify loans, refunds, reimbursements, and money contributed to the business. So that's a lot to digest, obviously. So, income limits still apply. Self-employment status does not create a special income limit. HUD states that applicants generally must meet the extreme low income to very low income based on household size and income limits for the location, which you can examine that document to the feds at HUD's Housing Choice Voucher eligibility information. I'll provide that link as well. Income limits vary by county and metropolitan area. The Housing Authority that qualifies in one jurisdiction may be over or limited in another. In other words, what one PHA does to another is quite different. So let's talk about the bottom line, guys. Here, most of you, you look through this. It's a lot to deal with. I'm going to make a couple recommendations. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can do it the really hard way and spend a couple of years spinning, or you can reach out to a qualified consultant, okay? It doesn't have to be my office, but let me just be frank. Just on the amount of information I provided there, you're going to need quite a bit of time to digest that and get it right. And that's not even if you actually manage to get through that and then get it approved. I'm not suggesting it's any more difficult than anything else on the planet. And therefore, you should make an honest attempt at dealing with this adversity so you can go on if you require or need Section 8 housing or federal taxes. You are paying your taxes. This is a right that's guaranteed under federal rules to any American that's a taxpayer or otherwise. And so don't let this dissuade you. But it's important that you understand how to exercise your federal rights. If you don't know how to do this, or it's too much for you to wrap your mind around, again, though I am not free, I do offer appointments, and they're very reasonably priced. It may be a better option if you've exhausted all other possibilities, and this is simply beyond you. I've enjoyed talking with you today, and we hope to see you again in many more of our EDU videos, which are educational videos. We run about twice a day, and then on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays around 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, I do live videos. It's a great time to ask opportune questions and get answers if you wish. So, that being said, I've enjoyed talking with you guys today, and we'll see you again. Bye for now.